It's a tale of two bullpens. That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. I'm Steve Harmon, and this is a podcast for Giants and A's fans and baseball fans in general. I played the game, once hit a Grand Slam home run in an over 30 baseball league. I covered the Hum Baby Giants and the Bash Brothers A's as a sports writer in the 1980s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1967 when the kid down the block introduced me and my brothers to the game of baseball. So the convergence of these two teams, the Giants and the A's, is perfect this weekend, at least for this podcast. As you all know, I've been doing separate episodes for the Giants and A's, but for this rivalry weekend, I got you all together for a breakdown of this three-game series between the longtime Bay Area rivals, who now are just a freeway ride away from each other. Well, it was a sweep for the Giants, but it was closer than the sweep suggests. Of course, Game 1 ended in a huge blowout, a 9-1 Giants win. Game 2, though, was a 1-0 nail-biter in 10 innings. And then today, Sunday, the third game of the series, a 3-2 Giants win late. So the Giants came into this series down. They had lost 5 of 6, but they got it back and are now back up to 9 games over 500 at 28-19. The A's are now in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. And, before this whole series of games began for the A's, it looked like a gauntlet, having to go through the Yankees, Dodgers, and Giants, and it turned out to be as bad as it looked. The A's lost 7 of 9 in those 3 series. But even before that, they had lost 2 of 3 to Seattle. So they have lost 9 of 12 games and are now 22-25 on the season. Definitely going through growing pains for this young team. And now it's going to be, a question of a managerial decision in this last game. Jeffrey Springs was just on it today. Just a beautiful performance for him. He gave up a first pitch home run to Heliot Ramos, and then after that, threw basically a perfect game. Threw 20 straight batters, retired 20 straight batters before finally giving up a 2-out single to Matt Chapman in the 7th inning, and was yanked by Kotsay in a game that the A's were leading 2-1 with a bullpen out there that has been really unreliable and proved to be so again. So Kotsay made the decision after a 7th inning in which Springs, he started out with 70 pitches in that inning, but was pulled after 84 pitches. And the key at bat, once again, there's Wilmer Flores putting up to a real fight and forcing Springs to work it hard. He actually had a 10-pitch at bat, and that put Springs at 80. Flores spoiling pitch after pitch, once again fouling off a number of 2-strike pitches. And, just before the Flores at bat, Dallas Braden, the color man for the A's, talked about how Springs should be well positioned to be thinking about going into the 9th inning. But after that at bat, you knew that Kotsay started getting nervous, and then but even after, so that 10-pitch at bat wound up in a strikeout, a beautiful slider that Flores took for called third strike for the first down. Then he got the next out, but then gave up the base hit to Chapman, and that was it for him. And though Justin Sterner got out of that inning, he walked a batter, but did get out of the inning unscored upon, and the A's had that 2-1 lead. But that opened the floodgates for the bullpen to come out and do its dirty work. And it is dirty, and I'll get to the numbers in a second. But in that bottom of the 8th inning, Tyler Ferguson came out and had LaMonte Wade as a pinch hitter to face. Now, Wade, of course, is hitting in the 160s, and he battled through 5 pitches, fouled off a couple of nasty ones, but then got one he could get a hold of and hit a triple into Triple's alley to lead off the inning. That pulled the infield in, and then Bob Melvin brought in Patrick Bailey to pinch hit, and he's another struggling player for the Giants, but with the infield in, he hit a nice hard ground ball up the middle for a base hit to drive in Wade and to tie the game. And then, of course, the small ball that the Giants play has been working. So there was Christian Koss, the number 9 hitter, bunting Bailey over to second base. And then Heliot Ramos came through with what turned out to be the game-winning base hit to left field. And that was all that she wrote for the A's at that point. And so I wanted to go over I mentioned that the title of this episode is "The Tale of Two Bullpens," and it truly is. The A's in this series, the A's really gave it up out of the bullpen. They pitched in 9 innings and gave up 11 hits, 7 earned runs, walked 8 and struck out 11, lost 2 of the 3 games. And that wasn't an aberration. They have overall a 5.82 ERA, which is 3rd worst in the major leagues. They've actually been used 7th most in the majors, tied with Seattle at 173 and a third innings. That is an issue. Overuse. They've given up 182 hits, which is 2nd most in the major leagues. They have walked 102, which is most in the major leagues. They have the 3rd most in strikeouts with 184, but everything else is just on the negative side. Their WHIP is 1.64, which is 3rd worst. The average against is 3rd worst at 268. So you could go on, and you know that Kotsay has some problems in that bullpen. But that's why the issue of him going to the bullpen early with Springs still fresh. You know, Springs argued with Kotsay on the mound, of course, behind the glove. It wasn't public. I mean, it wasn't so obvious, but he did make his case, and he was feeling good. And if he gets through that 7th inning, and he gets into the 8th, and he continues to doing what he does. So look, at 84 pitches, maybe he gets out of the 7th with 90 pitches. Give him another 15 pitches. That's 105 pitches, and then you get to Mason Miller to close the game out. But by going to Tyler Ferguson, after Sterner, by going to the bullpen, really opened up the A's to trouble. Now, on the other side of things, the Giants' bullpen has just been almost immaculate, especially in this series. But, you know, they're tops in the major leagues. I'll go ahead and start that out. Look at the bigger picture here. Their ERA is 2.51. That is number 1 in the major leagues. They have 14 wins. That's 2nd in the major leagues behind the Dodgers. They are 1st in the majors in WHIP at 1.04. They're tied for 1st with the Astros in average against at 194, and they've given up the 3rd fewest home runs with 13, and that's tied with 3 other teams. And in this series, they were just untouchable. They went 10 innings, gave up just 1 hit, no runs, walked 1, struck out 10, and had 2 of the 3 wins. And that's not to take anything away from the starting pitchers for the Giants in this series. They went 18 innings, only 13 hits, only 3 earned runs. They did walk 9. That was kind of boosted by today's numbers from Justin Verlander, who really had an off day. I'll get into his performance today in a second. And 10 strikeouts. And they only had 1 win out of the 3 games. So the Giants bullpen had to come in and pick those wins up. The A's starters were not that bad either. You throw out J.P. Sears's performance in Game 1, and you had Luis Severino and Jeffrey Springs giving up just 1 run between them in 12 and 2/3 innings. But it just wasn't enough because their bullpens weren't able to hold it. Verlander, his velo was down, his command was way off. And he, as I said, he walked 5 in just 4 innings. He threw as many balls as strikes in this game. He just was not looking right. And it turns out afterwards he was asked in the scrum in the locker room, and he did indicate that he was feeling some discomfort. He did not reveal the discomfort. He did say that the Giants management knew about it. So obviously it wasn't, I guess, important enough to hold him out of his start today, and he did say that he does hope to and plan to start in make his next start. But that is an issue that will be looked at, I'm sure, by all the beat writers and followed as we move along toward his next start. And so it was not just a matter of the bullpen. On offense, the Giants were just shut down after the leadoff home run by Heliot Ramos, and that was just a beautiful display of first pitch hitting. Remember, in one of my previous episodes, I talked about how important it is for hitters to go after that first pitch. A lot of times that's going to be the only good pitch you get. Ramos was ready, and he hit a bullet, 111 mile an hour line drive over the center field wall. But they used small ball late with that beautiful bunt by Koss to get Patrick Bailey into scoring position, but also credit Bailey for just getting the bat on the ball with the runner at third base and the infield end. You have your batting average jumps up by 100 points or more when the infield comes in, and so he did the right thing and went straight up the middle for that base hit. Bailey really has been doing some things at the plate that suggest that maybe he's putting it together a little bit. And then going back to LaMonte Wade, he actually has had some really nice swings lately, and that triple was just a beauty. He had to fight off a couple of tough pitches before that, but good for him. Both of them are trying to get off the interstate. Let's see, Bailey is at about 185, and Wade is at about 165. So it'll still take a little bit more before they get off that terrible interstate. So I mentioned Ramos. He's putting up an all-star performance at this point. He's now leading the Giants in hitting at 293. For a long while, it was Jung-Hoo Lee. Lee is in a bit of a funk. He's down to 276, so be interesting to see. Maybe he needs a rest pretty soon. Ramos is hitting 396 in May, 21 for 53. And then, of course, you had on the A side, couple of hitters who went kind of cold in the first two games came out and produced a little bit today. Jacob Wilson, he was held hitless in the first two games and actually was in an 0 for 14 funk coming into today, but got 2 hits today and was actually robbed of a third by a beautiful diving catch by Luis Matos in right field. Lawrence Butler actually had probably the nicest series in the A's offense in this one. He drove in the only 2 runs for the A's, 2-run bases loaded single off of Justin Verlander. And yesterday he had a double and 2 walks. So it looks like he is a little less jumpy at the plate and has a better idea of what pitchers are doing. So, and he definitely was recognizing the pitches from the Giants this weekend. So, so the Giants have 3 more at home on this homestand. They've got the Kansas City Royals coming into town for the next 3. The Royals, who just broke their 4-game losing streak today. And then the A's go back home to Sacramento for 4 with the Angels. And the Angels had just swept the Dodgers in a nice favor to the Giants. So we'll see how hot they are coming into town after this. So quickly looking at the matchups for the A's and Angels, it'll be JT Ginn returning from his IL stint. He only went 3 innings in his last start, so they're going to have to come out of the bullpen probably pretty early in this one. So we'll see how that goes. He is 1-1 on the season with a 4.61 ERA. He'll be going up against the Angels' Jose Soriano, who's 2-4 with a 3.46 ERA. And then on Tuesday, it'll be Gunnar Hoagland, the rookie, who's 1-1 with a 3.78 ERA, going against the veteran Kyle Hendricks, who's been pretty hittable this year. He has a 1-5 record with a 5.18 ERA. And then this is a 4-game series, so in the third game, it'll be J.P. Sears, who's 4-3 with a 3.31 coming off the loss from the Giants after actually having a really nice stretch of games. and he'll be going up against Jack Kotsay for the Angels. He's 3-5 with a 4.71, and in the series finale on Thursday, it'll be Luis Severino, who's 1-4 with a 4.22. He really has been pitching in some bad luck lately, and he'll be going up against the lefty veteran Tyler Anderson. And for the Giants, who will remain at home, it'll be Robbie Ray, 6-0 with a 3.04, trying to extend his winning streak, his personal winning streak, going up against another lefty, Chris Bubich, who's 4-2 with a 1.66 ERA. He's actually a veteran. He's been with the Kansas City Royals for 6 years, but is now seeming to put some good starts together, and it'll be interesting. The Giants are really not good against left-handed pitchers, so he'll probably be another Cy Young candidate against the Giants on Monday. And on Tuesday, Hayden Birdsong gets his first start of the year. He was placed into the starting rotation after the Giants decided to take Jordan Hicks out and put him into the bullpen. And Birdsong comes in with a 1-0 record with a 2.31 ERA. It'll be interesting to see how far they can go with him. He's only gone 3 innings, and just knowing how managers go about this, they will probably take 2 or 3 starts before they start stretching him out. So it'll be another bullpen game on this one. And he's going up against the veteran Mike Lorenzen, who's 3-4 with a 3.76. And then Logan Webb takes the series finale. Logan Webb coming off of just a beautiful performance against the A's. He's 5-3 with a 2.42. And TBA for the Angels. Those TBAs can sometimes be pretty nasty with the slider down and away. And let's see, is that all I have then? One thing, so just to wrap it up, this was, the former Bay Bridge series is now, there's really a lot of angst and anger from the A's fans about the fact that they were having to watch their team come in from Sacramento to play the Giants. And so there were complaints about how the Giants had kind of treated them. They didn't like the big banner that was put up in front of the stadium. Talking about how 415 loves 510. It just it felt condescending. And so there's still a lot of resentment out there, and understandable. One thing that did come out of the series was the understandable mistakes that everybody kept on making, calling the A's the Oakland A's. That was John Miller throughout the weekend. And finally, Mike Krukow came up with a funny little resolution to that issue by calling the A's Oaklamento A's, and John Miller seemed to be okay with that. Well, that's about all I have for today. We wrap up this 3-game series, a sweep for the Giants. The A's will try to get back to the level they were playing, just about a week and a half ago, before Seattle really burst their bubble with that, with a couple of dramatic wins against them. But they will try to regain their standing and their composure, and they'll do it with a couple of series at home, starting with 4 against the Angels and then 3 against the Phillies. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Apple Tunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Odyssey, the podcast app, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when my next podcast is up. I'm also on Twitter, or what some call X, and Threads, and post my episodes there. If you see it there, please retweet or repost and tell your friends. It would be great to grow our baseball-loving community. Okay, until next time, lay off the slider low and away.